Have you ever followed every rule, did everything right, and still felt like life was quietly crushing you? Like you're trapped inside a system you don't understand, and no matter how hard you try, you can't escape it. If that feeling has ever lived inside you, then you've already met Franz Kafka. People once thought Kafka was just miserable, a writer who complained too much. But Kafka wasn't describing his suffering, he was describing ours. He became famous only after he died. And today, his name is used to describe a world that feels confusing, unfair, and impossible to escape. In this video, we're going to break down Kafka's life, his most powerful quotes, and the philosophy behind his pain. Kafka was born in 1883, and from the beginning, his life was shaped by one thing: his father. Kafka's father was dominant, controlling, and emotionally aggressive. Not the kind of man who teaches love, but the kind of man who teaches fear. Kafka grew up feeling small, like he was never enough. And that kind of pressure doesn't just hurt you as a child, it becomes your inner voice as an adult. Kafka didn't get to choose his own path. He wanted to study chemistry, but his father forced him into law. And when you're forced into a life you didn't choose, you don't just lose freedom, you lose yourself. So Kafka did what many people do when reality becomes unbearable. He escaped. Not through parties, not through money, but through writing. Writing became his secret doorway out of his father's control, his private space, his only real freedom. He chose jobs that gave him enough time to write, because writing wasn't a hobby, it was survival. Kafka later joined a literary society in secret, and that's where he met someone who would change his legacy forever: Max Brod. Max Brod wasn't just a friend. He was the reason Kafka didn't disappear. Kafka's relationships were complicated. He wanted love, but he also needed solitude to write. And that contradiction tore him apart. He would get close to people, then pull away, because he feared losing his freedom. But he also feared being alone. At one point, he even struggled with sex addiction. Not because he was bad, but because pain makes people search for escape in whatever form they can find. Kafka tried to confront his father once and for all. He wrote a letter, around 50 pages long. Not anger, not drama, just truth. But the letter never reached his father. His mother returned it, afraid of what would happen if he read it. Kafka wanted to speak, but even inside his own home, he was silenced. Kafka died in 1924 from tuberculosis. His life was short, and for most of it, he was unhappy. But the world didn't understand him yet. Before Kafka died, he told Max Brod something shocking. He said, "Burn everything I haven't published." Kafka didn't believe in his own work, but Max Brod refused. He published Kafka's writings anyway, and that decision turned Kafka into a legend. Kafka became famous about a decade after his death, and during the rise of authoritarian power in Europe, people finally understood what Kafka was writing about: oppression, fear, systems that crush human beings. Kafka didn't predict the future. He simply understood human nature. Kafka once wrote, "The first sign of the beginning of understanding is the wish to die." That sounds extreme, but he wasn't glorifying death. He was describing what happens when innocence breaks. When you finally see the world clearly, You realize life is unfair, pain is real, and meaning isn't guaranteed. That moment can feel so heavy that your mind whispers, "What's the point?" But Kafka would say giving up is a victory of the absurd. And the absurd is this: you want answers, but existence stays silent. Still, you keep living. That's courage. Kafka also wrote, "You do not need to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table. Be quiet, and the world will offer itself to you." This is not about laziness. It's about observation. When you stop chasing attention, when you stop begging life for approval, you start seeing reality as it is. Sometimes, the more you chase the world, the more it runs. And the more you detach, the more it reveals itself. Kafka said, "I have the true feeling of myself only when unbearably unhappy." What he meant is simple. Suffering removes the mask. Happiness can be performance, a social costume, but pain is honest. In suffering, Kafka felt real, and writing helped him understand that truth without filters. Kafka normalized suffering. He didn't say everyone is broken. He said everyone is human, and suffering is part of the human contract. Kafka's philosophy begins with existential dread, that quiet anxiety you feel when you realize life is temporary. You will die, and nobody can fully explain why you're here. That fear changes everything. Kafka also wrote about alienation. When you evolve, you become a stranger, even to the people who used to know you. And sometimes, you become a stranger to yourself. He also believed failure is not ugly. Failure teaches you what not to do. It hurts, but it makes you aware. Kafka believed there is no perfect moment. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll wait forever. Life moves fast, and meaning is created by action, not by waiting. One of Kafka's biggest themes was the system, the machine, the bureaucracy, the invisible rules controlling your life. You fill out one form, then another form. Then you get rejected for something you didn't even understand. And you realize you're not dealing with people. You're dealing with a structure that doesn't care. Kafka believed you can't fully escape the system, but you can understand it. And that understanding gives you power. Kafka witnessed anti-Semitism and authoritarian control rising around him. He saw how power spreads quietly, through fear, through rules, through silence. Kafka wasn't just writing stories. He was documenting the psychology of oppression. Kafka's life was painful, but his work survived because it was honest. He didn't romanticize suffering. He exposed it. And maybe that's why his writing hit so hard. Because deep down, we've all felt it. That quiet pressure, that invisible system, that loneliness you can't explain. If this video made you think, hit like, subscribe, and comment. Have you ever lived through a Kafkaesque moment? I'll see you in the next one.